Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack one of the absolute most mind-bending geographical mysteries on our planet. We are exploring an impossible paradox today. I want you to imagine an environment so extreme, so unbelievably hostile, that just surviving there is a constant battle. Now imagine that hiding directly beneath that deadly surface, beneath 4 whole kilometers of solid, freezing ice, is a vast, liquid ocean. I know, it sounds straight out of a science fiction movie, doesn't it? But as we'll see, it is absolutely 100% real.
For the longest time, scientists were completely convinced that Antarctica was just frozen solid, all the way down to the bedrock. So the discovery of this vast, liquid ocean trapped beneath 4 kilometers of dense ice didn't just rewrite our geology books. It literally sparked a fierce, multi-million-dollar drilling race between global superpowers. And even more incredibly, as we unpack the source material today, you're going to see how this frozen continent holds the exact blueprint for finding alien life in our solar system. Section 1. A deadly frozen wilderness. Now, before we can even wrap our heads around the miracle of what lies beneath, we really have to grasp the nightmare up on the surface. This timeline tracks the incredibly tragic 1912 expedition of explorer Douglas Mawson and his 2 companions, Ninnis and Mertz. On December 14th, in a brutal minus 30 degrees Celsius, they were out mapping the ice. Suddenly, Mawson heard this strange noise right behind him. When he turned around, Ninnis, along with their sled, their vital supplies, and their absolute strongest dogs, had completely vanished. The solid ice had just randomly opened up into a terrifying, dark crevasse over 100 feet deep. Mawson called down into the darkness, but he heard nothing except the whimper of an injured dog. They couldn't pull the sled out. Trapped with literally no food, they were forced to eat their remaining weakest dogs just to survive. But tragically, dog liver actually contains an incredibly high concentration of vitamin A, which is highly toxic to humans. Mertz went mad from the poisoning and passed away shortly after. By January 8, 1913, Mawson was the only one left.
160. That is the exact number of kilometers Douglas Mawson had to walk completely alone across this deadly frozen desert just to get back to base. The conditions were so incredibly brutal that the skin was literally peeling off the soles of his feet. He had to physically put his own skin back onto his feet, pull his socks and boots over it, and just keep walking. When he finally made it back, he was so battered and destroyed that his own team didn't even recognize him. I bring this up to show you that the surface of Antarctica is a place that actively extinguishes life.
Section 2. The impossible hidden lakes. Keeping in mind how lethal that top layer is, it's time to shift our focus downward to a really shocking turning point. Back in the 1960s, scientists started flying planes equipped with this special ice-penetrating radar over the continent. Naturally, they expected to see flat bedrock under the flat ice. Instead, the radar painted a completely baffling picture. Hidden beneath the ice were massive mountain ranges the size of the Himalayas and trenches plunging deeper than the Grand Canyon. But the most shocking data points of all were these incredibly flat, smooth signals reflecting back to the plains. They looked like glass. The radar was bouncing off the surface of liquid water. You're probably thinking, how is that even physically possible? Well, while the surface is a barren minus 30 degrees, the subglacial world is a totally different story. The crucial thing here is that this incredibly thick, heavy blanket of ice actually acts as an insulator, trapping the Earth's natural geothermal heat radiating from below. Furthermore, the sheer weight of millions of tons of ice pushes down with immense pressure, and that drastically lowers the freezing point of water. So this crazy combination of trapped heat and massive pressure keeps the water in a liquid state, creating an isolated, dark ocean that has been completely cut off from the surface world for 1.5 million years. Fast forward to the 1990s, and using advanced satellites and seismic readings, scientists confirmed that this wasn't just some freak occurrence. There are actually over 400 of these secret, hidden lakes scattered all beneath the Antarctic ice. The largest of these is a massive body of water known as Lake Vostok, and it was the discovery of these ancient, untouched waters that kicked off an absolute international frenzy. Section 3. The Great Drilling Race. The realization that these ancient, untouched ecosystems were hiding right below our feet ignited one of the most intense geopolitical scientific races of the 1990s. Three major superpowers set their sights on three totally different hidden lakes. The ultimate goal? To drill through the ice and pull up a pure water sample without letting a single surface bacteria fall in and destroy an ecosystem isolated for 1.5 million years. Russia aimed for Lake Vostok at a staggering 4 kilometers deep. The UK targeted Lake Ellsworth at 3 kilometers down, and the USA went for Lake Whillans at 800 meters. But guys, their methods were wildly different. Okay, let's start with Russia's attempt. For decades, Soviet scientists had been drilling down into the ice above Lake Vostok. But as they drilled, the freezing temperatures kept causing the hole to ice over and close right back up. Their solution? You're not going to believe this. They literally poured 60 tons of a kerosene and freon mixture, basically straight up jet fuel, into the hole to keep it open. Global scientists were begging them to stop, warning that if the drill broke through to the lake, the jet fuel would rush in and just destroy this pristine ecosystem. Well, Russia ignored the warnings. In 2012, they finally broke through the surface of the lake. The immense pressure from the lake immediately shot the water up the drill hole, acting like a giant geyser and blasting that jet fuel 30 to 40 meters into the air. While Russia initially celebrated finding new bacteria in their samples, laboratory analysis quickly proved the samples were completely contaminated by the kerosene. Decades of work and incredible funding were basically ruined by a brute force approach. Now, the UK team watched this failure and decided they needed a much smarter, cleaner path. They came up with a brilliantly complex 16-year, $2 million plan for Lake Ellsworth. Instead of toxic chemicals, they were going to use hot water. Step 1, drill a pilot hole 300 meters down to create a warm water pocket. Step 2, drill the main hole right alongside it. Step 3, connect them at the 300-meter mark to circulate perfectly filtered, clean water. And finally, Step 4, push that main hole all the way down to 3 kilometers. It was engineered to be 100 times cleaner than Russia's method. But Antarctica, as we've already learned, really doesn't care about perfect plans. The British team executed steps 1 and 2 flawlessly, but when they tried to connect those two holes at the 300-meter mark, they hit a snag. They were just 2 meters apart. For 40 straight hours, working non-stop in the freezing cold, they tried to melt through that final tiny gap. But by Christmas Eve 2012, tragedy struck. They had burned through so much of their fuel trying to close those last 2 meters that they no longer had enough fuel left to actually drill the remaining 3 kilometers to the lake. The entire mission had to be immediately canceled. 16 years of planning and $2 million, totally defeated by a 2-meter gap in the ice. Heartbreaking. Which brings us to the USA. Project Wizard. We're talking a team of 13 top-tier scientists, including an actual NASA space science team targeting Lake Whillans. They looked at those previous failures and brought literal, surgical, NASA-level cleanliness to the ice. They cleaned their equipment with hydrogen peroxide, transported everything in tightly sealed bags, passed their drilling water through extreme filtration systems, and blasted everything with UV light to kill absolutely all surface bacteria. On December 21st, 2013, their drills successfully and cleanly pierced the surface of Lake Whillans. They had won the race. Section 4. Life in the dark. That super clean success leads us to the true climax of this scientific detective story, analyzing the very first pure, uncontaminated water sample ever drawn from the dark depths. Imagine peering into a microscope at a sample pulled from 800 meters beneath solid ice. It's an eerie, utterly silent scene, a completely different world down there. No movement, no light, isolated for millions of years. Scientists were literally holding their breath, looking into an abyss that time forgot. And then the impossible happened. They found life. Living, moving bacteria and microscopic organisms known as archaea were found absolutely thriving in the sample. They were surviving at minus 0.5 degrees Celsius in total pitch black darkness. And get this, genetic analysis showed that some of these biological lineages are actually older than the dinosaurs. Finding life here fundamentally broke our entire understanding of what life needs to survive. Right about now, the obvious question you're probably asking is, how on earth do they survive without the sun? Well, the answer is a process called chemosynthesis. Up here on the surface, almost all life relies on photosynthesis, using sunlight for energy, right? But down in the dark, these ancient creatures have actually adapted to feed off the earth itself. They consume chemical gases, specifically methane seeping out of the ancient rocks at the very bottom of the lake, and they convert that directly into energy. No sun, no fresh air, just eating gas off rocks to survive. It's wild. Section 5. Blueprint for alien life.
Now, let's zoom out from the microscopic life under Antarctica for a second and look at the massive, mind-blowing implications this has for our entire solar system. You see, when the USA's WISAR team proved that life could survive under miles of ice through chemosynthesis, NASA is watching very, very closely. Because there are other places in our solar system that look exactly like Antarctica. We're talking about Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus. Both of these massive moons feature incredibly thick outer crusts of solid ice, and scientists know for a fact that beneath that ice, there are vast, liquid, tumbling oceans.
So the true scale of what happened on the ice in 2013 is just staggering. The WISAR drilling success wasn't just a win for Earth science, it was literally a practice run. It was a rehearsal for NASA. The exact same surgical, ultra-clean drilling methods used to pierce Lake Whillans without contaminating it are the very methods NASA plans to use to pierce the ice of Europa and Enceladus. Because of what we found in Antarctica, these frozen moons are now absolutely our best bet for finding extraterrestrial life in the dark, cold oceans of space.
Which leaves us with this final, really haunting thought. The whole superpower drilling race, the millions of dollars spent, the incredible NASA-level tech, all of that was just to reach one single lake. One lake yielded life older than the dinosaurs that somehow survives by eating gas in the dark. But remember, satellite data confirms there are over 400 of these secret lakes buried beneath the Antarctic ice. So if just one lake holds this kind of impossible ancient life, what on earth do the other 399 hide? What else is down there surviving in the dark below? It's a mystery that we've only just barely begun to scratch the surface of. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today, and keep questioning what's hidden right beneath our feet.